Alright, folks, welcome to what I can only describe as an ongoing saga of epic proportions, a clash of titans, a battle for dominance. Well, it's my dad versus my cat. Now, you might be thinking, okay, sounds cute, and on paper, sure, that's exactly what it seems, a perfectly respectable human male and a fluffy feline companion existing in relative peace. But let me tell you, appearances can be deceiving because this isn't your average dad-cat relationship, this is an all-out competition. My dad, bless his heart, he believes he's running the show, he buys the cat food, scoops the litter box, provides the comfy spots on the furniture, a benevolent overlord, you see. The cat, however, has other plans and views my dad's efforts as mere offerings to appease Her Royal Highness. We started noticing this escalation about 6 months ago. It began subtly, a strategically placed paw across a newspaper, a slow blink of disdain while Dad was attempting to watch the news. These were clear signals, but Dad, in his infinite wisdom, interpreted them as signs of affection. I tried to warn him, naturally, but he just chuckled and said something about cats being mysterious creatures, a phrase he now regrets uttering with such conviction. The early stages involved passive aggression, like the cat sitting directly on whatever my dad was trying to read or using his freshly cleaned slippers as a personal scratching post. Then things escalated. It went from subtle power plays to full-blown territorial disputes involving strategically timed zoom eyes across the living room and attempts to steal food directly from Dad's plate, you know, just showing who's really in charge. So, what you're about to witness is a documented chronicle of this ongoing war, a hilarious, furry, sometimes frustrating battle for control that will leave you questioning everything you thought you knew about human-animal coexistence. Prepare yourselves, because things are about to get wonderfully weird. Alright, folks, picture this, your humble narrator, attempting the noble pursuit of relaxation on a perfectly good couch, a veritable throne of comfort. I just settled in, strategically positioning myself for maximum back support and mentally preparing to conquer the crossword puzzle, when disaster struck. Or rather, she struck. Mittens, our feline overlord, launched herself from, well, somewhere incredibly high, because cats defy physics, you know. It wasn't a gentle landing either, it was more of an acrobatic takeover, complete with a triumphant meow that clearly declared, "This is my couch now." The audacity. I mean, I appreciate enthusiasm, truly I do, but there's a certain etiquette involved in shared living spaces. Attempting to enjoy a simple bag of chips became an Olympic sport, specifically, that defend your snack from a tiny predator event. Each chip was met with a lightning-fast paw swipe and a hopeful gaze that could melt glaciers. It was like negotiating with a furry little negotiator who only accepts potato-based currency. And then there was the stare down. Oh, yes. This wasn't just any glance across the room, this was an intense, silent battle of wills. I'm pretty sure my eyebrows were raised so high they nearly disappeared into my hairline as I met her emerald gaze, a gaze brimming with mischief and a blatant disregard for personal space. We held it, for what felt like an eternity. It's captured in glorious slow motion, complete with dramatic music, because you deserve to witness this level of passive aggression. You see, the thing about cats is they're masters of manipulation. One minute they're batting playfully at your shoelaces, and the next they're strategically positioned on top of your head, effectively turning you into a furry hat. It's a constant cycle of affection and, well, let's call it, assertive cuddling. And honestly, I wouldn't trade it for all the uninterrupted crossword puzzles in the world, mostly because she'd probably steal those too. Alright folks, let's talk about playtime. Specifically, playtime between a well-meaning dad and a feline overlord with absolutely zero respect for boundaries or the concept of sharing, because apparently, mine is the only word he understands. It's truly a captivating spectacle to behold. I brought out this adorable little felt mouse, you know, classic cat toy stuff, expecting maybe a gentle bat, perhaps a playful pounce. But what I got was a full-blown declaration of war, complete with dramatic hissing and a swift snatch that would make a ninja proud. Honestly, the mouse didn't stand a chance. Then, naturally, I thought, okay, new strategy. Laser pointer. Because what cat doesn't love chasing a tiny red dot like it holds the secrets of the universe? This was my moment to shine, a display of masterful control and amusement. However, what ensued was less masterful control and more desperate flailing as I tried to outsmart a creature fueled entirely by pure, chaotic energy. He wasn't just chasing the dot, he was hunting it, leaping onto furniture, scaling curtains, generally treating my living room like an Olympic obstacle course. I attempted to guide this tiny beacon of joy across the floor, envisioning a graceful ballet of man and beast. Instead, I'm dodging flying paws and narrowly avoiding being launched into the ceiling fan as he transforms into a furry projectile. It's less graceful dance and more survival of the fittest, and frankly, based on his intensity, I'm starting to suspect he thinks I'm the toy. And just to illustrate the sheer magnitude of this ongoing conflict, let's take a quick look at a time-lapse. Prepare yourselves, it's a heartbreaking, for my sanity, visual representation of abandoned dreams and discarded playthings strewn across every available surface. You can see here, the initial attempt at a toy corner, now looking like the aftermath of a tiny, furry tornado, with plushies, balls, and feather wands scattered like fallen soldiers. Observe this collection of casualties. Each toy represents a failed attempt at peaceful engagement. It's a monument to my dad-induced optimism and his unwavering commitment to ignoring me completely. He's not playing with the toys, you see, he's asserting dominance over them, and by extension, over me, because apparently, that's just how things work in this household. It's a tough life, folks, but hey, at least it's entertaining. Okay, so Dad here thinks he's finally cracked the code to relaxation, a midday nap. He's meticulously arranged his pillows, dimmed the lights, and is emitting that deep, preparatory sigh you know means serious sleepiness is imminent. It's truly quite impressive, like watching a very large bear prepare for hibernation, only this bear has socks on. Now, our feline overlord, Mittens, observes this scene with an almost theatrical level of disdain. You see, to Mittens, Dad's attempts at peaceful slumber are not invitations to tranquility, they're personal challenges. They're like a siren song calling her to wreak havoc and demand attention, all while maintaining the air of innocent curiosity. And so begins Operation Nap Disruption, which starts with a casual stroll across Dad's chest. A gentle paw pat here, a strategic placement of her fluffy tail there. It's subtle at first, like a tiny furry landmine ready to detonate into full-blown chaos. Honestly, she's practically a ninja in disguise. But subtlety is for amateurs. Phase 2 involves the face jump, and I mean full commitment. A graceful arc through the air, landing directly onto Dad's unsuspecting visage, accompanied by a purr that sounds suspiciously like triumphant laughter. It's a bold move, Cotton, let's see if it pays off. The kneading begins next, because apparently, Dad's stomach is now officially Mittens' personal dough-making station. Little paws rhythmically pummeling, creating a surprisingly satisfying, and utterly unwelcome, massage, while Dad emits muffled groans of protest that are almost adorable in their futility. You can practically hear him thinking, this is my life now. Okay, folks, prepare yourselves for a moment of genuine awkwardness. You see, I was attempting a truly heroic feat, opening a jar of pickles. It's harder than it looks, you know, the lid seemed to have fused with the glass in some sort of bizarre, brine-based pact. Suddenly, a rogue squirrel decided to launch itself off the bird feeder directly outside the window, creating a sound akin to a small explosion and sending me reeling backwards like I'd just seen a ghost, or worse, realized I was out of coffee. Now, typically, Reginald, that's my cat, for those who haven't been paying attention, usually views me with a mixture of disdain and mild annoyance, as if I am personally responsible for the lack of tuna-flavored rain. He's got that "I tolerate you" kind of vibe going on, like a grumpy museum curator forced to share his space with an overly enthusiastic child. But in this moment, something extraordinary happened. To my utter bewilderment, Reginald abandoned his usual position of judgment and launched himself onto the sofa, directly beside me. And not just onto the sofa, but right into my lap. It was a full-on cuddle ambush. I swear he even attempted to purr, though it sounded more like a tiny motor struggling to start than anything remotely soothing. He nestled against me, kneading with his paws and emitting these little rumbling noises that were surprisingly comforting. I'll admit, For a brief, fleeting moment, a whole 3 seconds, maybe, I felt a genuine connection with this furry overlord. I almost started wondering if I'd been doing cat parenting wrong all along. Perhaps Reginald wasn't plotting my downfall but merely expressing his affection in the most roundabout way possible. It was touching, really. The music even softened, which is saying something considering it usually accompanies scenes of Reginald knocking things off shelves. But just as I began to contemplate a heartfelt apology for all the times I'd accidentally stepped on his tail, the squirrel scampered away, apparently deciding my window wasn't worth the effort. And boom! The moment was over. Reginald immediately leaped from my lap, gave me one last look of utter disdain, as if to say, "Don't get any ideas," and then proceeded to chase a dust bunny across the living room with the ferocity of a lion hunting a gazelle. Back to normal, folks, back to the delightful chaos.